Let's talk about handstands, shall we? Handstands are something that I feel like everybody kind of deep down they want to do. You know, you can't deny it. You see a handstand and you're like, that's cool. I kind of wish I could do that. And I have honestly wanted to do a handstand since I saw a handstand for the first time when I was like 6 years old, 7, I don't know exactly. Thought it was the coolest thing I ever saw. But then, about 2 years ago, I finally decided, you know what, Lydia, let's just try to do a handstand. So what I did was I would walk my feet up the side of a wall. You've probably seen this thing before, but you walk like your hands are on the ground, you walk your feet up the side of the wall, and you're kind of in a handstand position. You feel kind of like learn the feeling of like being upside down, feeling your whole body weight in your hands. And I actually practiced that for about a year. I could just never seem to feel comfortable enough to like let go of the wall. I just could never, like, I don't know, I just wasn't in the right position. I would always have like pillows or like some kind of soft thing behind me, so that way if I did fall over, which I did a lot, I would fall into something soft. But I could just never for like a year at all just get into the right position. And then about maybe half a year, 6 months later, I finally got to the point where I could kick up onto the wall, and I feel like that really helped me get more into the position of where you're actually in a handstand. And I was also at that time able to kind of figure out correct aligning, where like my hips were directly over my shoulders and I could like get into position and I could balance. And so there were actually a couple times that I was able to hold it against the wall and then like let my foot go and be able to hold it just there for like 10 seconds. And this is also when I started practicing kicking up onto just kicking up and seeing if I could hold it without any wall. And I have actually tried that, especially outside, kind of figuring out how to balance without the wall. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I can hold it against the wall, kick off and hold it for maybe like 5-10 seconds, and then kicking up off the ground. I'm not really good at that. There's been a couple times where I'll be able to hold it, get my balance, but haven't really been able to do that much. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I decided for the next 30 days that I would just set a timer for 5 minutes a day and practice handstands. And as you can see right here, I am just not very confident or comfortable just kicking up without a wall, especially when there's not something like really soft behind me. So that was something I really had to work on, just my confidence in kicking up. Okay, handstands day number 2. Today I'm going to be more practicing against a wall and really trying to get my balance that way. Just because you saw what happened yesterday, I was just very like unsure. And I just feel like I need to get a little more comfortable against the wall. At least that's what I'm going to be doing today. So like I said before, today I focused more on doing it against the wall and really trying to kind of work on kind of getting everything in line. And I think that's just something that I've had trouble with, especially when I kick up without a wall. It's really hard for me to get like my hips over my shoulders without going too far. So that's something I really tried to work on today against a wall. So today I tried to just kick up without a wall, but this time I did it in an area that I felt a little more comfortable, because in our room it was really, really small and tight, and I was afraid that I was going to fall over and hit into something. So I felt a little more comfortable doing it in our hallway, because if I fell backwards, I'd just hit the carpet. Okay, so I was going to practice handstands earlier right after I work out like I normally do. But today I did a Caroline curve and triceps and chest workout, and my arms were literally shaking. Like I lifted up and it was just like, so there was no way I was going to do practice handstands after that. So I've actually waited. I'm not in workout clothes anymore, but what are you gonna do? And I'm going to practice my handstands now. As I go through just kind of the footage and watching as I kick up without the wall, I just really notice how every time I kick up I'm a little bit afraid, and then if I kick too hard I just fall over. And I think what was really missing was just that core control. Also, I am a little bit lacking in my upper body strength, which really didn't help me in
practicing these handstands. Also, one thing that was a little bit hard was once I would get up into the right position, my legs would just start kind of moving and it wasn't really helping me. So that was all some things that I need to be working on throughout this challenge, but also after this challenge. So as this challenge went on, life happens, and there were just so many times that I just didn't have time to do handstands, or I would forget, and it just became something that almost became a little bit discouraging for me, because I would forget, and then it'd be a couple days and I'd be like, oh, and then I feel like I lost all my momentum, and I felt like I couldn't do it properly anymore. I felt like it was stopping me from progressing forward. But I just want to remind everyone that these 30-day challenges, you know, as much as I would love to stay consistent like everyone else does on YouTube, I'm human and I can't always do that. There are days that my upper body's sore, that I'm just too busy, and it's okay if you can't always keep up with it. Whenever I could, I would try to do handstands, and that's all I could do, but it's okay if you don't have time for it every single day. So about halfway through, I kind of figured out one of the best ways for me to learn how kind of get confidence kicking up was having something just soft behind me. And once I continued to do that, it was something that I could kick up, kind of start to balance, but if I fell backwards, it wasn't the end of the world, because as you can see here, I'm just falling onto this mattress and I was completely fine.
Okay, so yesterday, again, I forgot to do my handstands. It was something, I finished my workout, I took a shower, and then as I was in the shower, I was like, I forgot to do handstands. And I was hoping to do it later yesterday, but I forgot. And, you know, it's okay. Sometimes you mess up. I feel like every one of these challenges that I do at some point, I'm like, by the way, I messed up, I forgot, and you know what? I can't really do anything about it. Just have to move on. That's okay. But today, I really didn't feel like doing it, honestly. Like, today's been a very busy, stressful day. Hardly got time to do anything. I just finished a 20-minute workout and I already felt exhausted from that. So that's just lovely. Normally I work out for like an hour, but today 20 minutes killed me, so I don't really know why. So I'm a little bit sweaty, kind of exhausted, not really motivated, but I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do this. Can you go over there? I don't want to kick you.
No.
Am I upside down? Okay. Alright. Okay, can you move out of the way? I'm gonna come down now. Can you go over there? Oh, yeah, what's going on?
So the more I did this challenge, the more I stopped thinking about how annoyed I was that I couldn't balance or I couldn't get it, or my arm strength would go out. And I almost started appreciating more how I was building this habit in my life that I actually really enjoy. And honestly, I might not get my handstand in the next month, in the next year. It might take me a long, long time. But finding kind of that, I know it sounds cheesy, but that joy in the journey of just every day practicing, finding out the strength of my body, but also the weaknesses, because that's just as important. And once you find those weaknesses, you can work on them and turn them into your strengths. And so that's something that I had to learn throughout this challenge. There were so many times that I'd get really annoyed because I couldn't get it. And even at the end of this challenge, I didn't feel like the before and after were so huge. But what I thought was really neat was just how I created that habit and how I really worked at handstands. And even if my handstands themselves didn't get better, my upper body and core strength definitely did. So we're on the last day, and I just kind of like to summarize finally kind of everything that I thought from this challenge. I feel like the first 2 weeks I was actually doing a really good job building that habit. I definitely, after that, there were times that I just couldn't do it for whatever reason. We were busy, we were traveling or whatever, and that's okay. Sometimes you can't always do that. And I think that's important to remember in any aspect of life, that if you're not always consistent, it doesn't mean that you failed. You can just get back up and keep trying. And yes, my handstands didn't honestly get that much better, and my upper body strength is, it's getting there, but those are just some things that I have to work on, and honestly, I'm kind of okay with it. I feel like for a while I was really annoyed because I'm like, why aren't I getting it? There's so many people that get their handstand in like 2 weeks, and I've been working for 2 years, and I still can't get it, but honestly, maybe I need to be more consistent, or maybe it's just I just need to work a little bit harder. Maybe my balance isn't as good as some other people's. And, that's okay. We're all at different spots in our journey. And, sometimes you just have to realize that it is okay. Where you're there. That's where your body's at. You can't change it. You can work at it, but you don't have to be upset or annoyed that you're not where someone else is. And I think that's a big takeaway that I have discovered through this challenge is that just because I didn't get my handstand in 30 days doesn't mean that I failed. It just means that I'm a step closer to my end goal. So I hope you got inspired today to go just a little bit closer to your end goal, even if you didn't quite get it. Just keep working at it, and one day you'll get it. All right, guys. Bye.